Welcome to this week's edition of the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm your host, John Brown, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. Springford got back on the winning side with a defeat in Stockton 45-7. Coach, congratulations for you and the boys there Friday night. Got your game going right, and really the only score you give up on the night is the kickoff to start, or the end of the first half. So another essentially shutout by your defense, and you guys got the points going a little bit with the offense too.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very physical game. And I think it's kind of the culmination of a couple games, but we have to get healthy again. Unfortunately, we lost Jake Ray for the year. Everybody that was at the game, Jake will be fine. It's going to be a long road to recovery for his knee, but Jake is in good spirits, and we're going to miss him. But he's gonna be. He was already at everything. He was back in school on Monday.
Once again, you kind of beat me to the punch, but obviously, no, it's all right. Listen, you're going on your way there a little bit. But what I was gonna say is that's a tough thing for kids. You could see our kids as it happened saw what he looked like there, and you as a coach. I mean, sure, that's a little shocking for you also as a coach, but then when that's over with, you got to go back to playing football. You can't just end the night right there.
Yeah, now I've been around games, been coaching for a long time. I've been around games where other teams had guys taken off an ambulance. I was trying to think back. I don't think that's the first time that one of players from a team that I was coaching got taken off in an ambulance, and that's a tough thing. And there have been other injuries, obviously that were
bad,
serious or whatever, but. That was something new for me, and unfortunately, if you look for silver linings and things, it happened at home. He wasn't away. There's certain things like if it had to happen, but hard to see. And Jake was tough the whole time. All he kept thinking, and it is one of those things. We say that to kids sometimes. Hey, play this play like it's your last, or play this game like it's your last, and you never want that to come true. But it certainly hit home. I think Jake told me he looked down and then knew. Yeah. And that was his first kind of realization that this was my last football game, as a high school player. So, but Jake is a resilient kid, and he's a fighter, and he's gonna work back to getting back to normal.
All right, so we got the injury update once again. Obviously everybody there wants the update of that. Now let's get back to the game a little bit. So I was a little intrigued. I was there. I felt like I did a better job with the announcing. I'm making strides. Still room for improvement as always.
I don't hear you, so I can't.
Okay, that's a positive. So about the game though. Afterwards, the next morning, I read the article by you and Matt in the quote, and talked about like it was a game to work on the passing game. Like you were talking about that. And there's part of me that was like, well, this is a game. Like I'm trying to like win the football game. You know what I mean? But was it like a misquote, or like how were like? No. So you thought this is a game where
offensively, there's certain things in our passing game like. We've talked about it being before on here. We want to be on time, not only, first, second, third down, stay ahead of the chains a little bit, but also take what's there and not try to force things. And we wanted to work on that. When you get to playoffs, you're going to have to be able to run the ball and throw the ball. You just have to. And so we want to make sure that we were have things on film that we can correct, and Matt's very good at being told something once, and then he internalizes it. He's very good at that. There's still some things some things coming out of Friday that we need to work on, but we just felt like we had the opportunity to do either, but we wanted to throw the ball. When we had the opportunity. I mean, we weren't going to, obviously we ran when we were shadow of the goal line, we ran the ball, and Mike took up the whole field. Right. So
I guess what I was trying to get at is that, like, it just seemed like, well, we're going to work on passing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, once again, I'm not a football coach, but win the game's number one.
Sure.
Now, I guess if you say, like, listen, I thought we could pass on the team more than run, I would have, like, I just kind of construed. I was like, wait, we're working on our passing game.
Well, working on is not the right term.
Right.
We just came into the game. We're gonna throw early, and we're gonna, we threw play action, we threw RPO, we threw 3-step, we threw 5-step. We just wanted to, we felt like we had an advantage there, and we wanted to, try to.
I'm looking for, now when you look at Matt's line at the end of the night, 16 for 30, you obviously want that first number, like the amount of completions. If you're going to throw the ball 30 times, you don't want to have 14 incomplete passes though in the game as well too.
He was actually 17 for 31,
okay.
But we'd like to see him like in the 20 for 30.
Yeah,
and he easily could have been.
You want to see your guys 60% or higher completions.
He there was at least one drop off the top of my head that I can remember, which obviously
it was
impacts
early.
That. Well, then it must have been 2 because I remember a later one. But
okay.
I feel like there were a couple things again coming out of the film. There were some things like I'll give you for instance the first play of the game. Matt did not see the outside linebacker sneaking up on bootleg, and we could have blocked it if we had seen that, but didn't. It was late in the cadence, and we had Luke Pavich coming behind the line out into the flat on the other side, and that was great because Matt turned. And he saw it, and he took off running, and he scored a 12-yard touchdown.
Yeah.
So it's hard to criticize this. But what we worked on, what we talked about, what we're working on this week, is like when you get your head around on a bootleg, and there's nobody out in the flat, just start backing up and dump it to him, as opposed to taking off right away.
Okay.
So there's, you can practice as much as you want. But game situations, there's obviously 1,000 different variables there. So.
And I thought you might even Will kind of looked like he got banged up a little bit. And like now we're really just going to throw the ball too.
Honestly, that did happen.
Yeah.
And Mike Bendowski got his toe stepped on, which is pretty painful with cleats, obviously. So he was kind of out of series. So coming out in the second half, we had to make the decision. Now Mike was fine, but we still want to be careful with our guys. We made the decision first series of the second half to come out, and we were empty a couple times. I kept forgetting that Mike was, and we did run with the running back the one time, but he was fine. But yeah, so we came out, we ran some empty sets and things like that to kind of control that a little bit. But the alternative was put in a sophomore running back. Or someone that just doesn't know the offense
and you just
weren't
quite ready to make it.
Yeah, weren't quite ready to do that. So that was part of it too.
Now, one more thing here before we do highlights. I know we're going to talk defense in the second segment, but I thought a real turning point in the game was I think we score, we get a punt or something like that, and then you turn it over. We have a fumble on a sack or whatever, and then they get a big.
That was another one.
They have a big play. They get down to the 1, and then you turn it over. That was where was there a whistle? Was there a fumble? Like it was. That's a huge play for you guys because if they score there, it's 7-7.
What happened? I tell you what, that's a heck of a play by Zach Zollers. They tried to run a quarterback sneak,
and he just kind of looked like he was in there.
He came in and he punched down on the ball and hit right on it, and it popped into Will Fish's hands. And that's actually the play that Will Fish hurt himself a little bit, hurt his elbow. But he's fine, but kind of, I don't know what you would call it, but he kind of had like the equivalent of a stinger, but like lower a little bit on his elbow. Or maybe like a funny bone kind of thing, something like that. But
a huge play for you guys with that right there, because if they score there, they're in the game. Maybe you're second guessing ourselves or whatever. But there's one of those turnovers that, because the turnover that you had that happened to you guys could have been, But yeah.
Yeah, and that turnover too speaks to what we were trying to work on. Again, we got to know where our hot reads are. We got to know, we got to set the protection properly in all situations, especially. It used to be relatively easy going into a game. We're talking when I was in school or, maybe even 15, 20 years ago, teams generally played the defense they played, and they had a couple variations to that. But now, Methacton was jumping from a 4-2-5 to a 3-3 and back, and those protections are completely different in an odd and even front. So you got to be aware of it. And again, that's part of what we were trying to get better at on Friday night too, is set protections and stuff, and know where our answers are. If this guy blitzes, if that guy blitzes, if they don't blitz, know where your answers are.
I like that you talked about timing, because you can see in this offense, the protection's only supposed to last so long. The ball's supposed to be out of Matt's hands in so long, and you can see when the ball's not out when it should, it's like it becomes like a fire sale. You're like, where are we going with the ball? You're trying to make something play, or like, it's almost that idea. Like, listen, if this isn't open in this thing, we got to throw the ball into the stands.
And he
something like
did
that.
a good job against that. We didn't talk about it last week, but there were 2 bad snaps where against Perkins Valley where Matt took advantage of the new rule and threw the ball out of bounds, which was well overdue in high school football.
Right.
Everything's about safety and protection, and we're not protecting quarterbacks. So it was it was overdue for that to be part of the rule book. So.
All right, Coach, good stuff right there. Let's take a look at the offensive highlights from Springford, Methacton.
So this is Mike Bendowski's long run.
90-yard run or whatever.
Yeah, so the kids were giving him a hard time. In our record book, we only count longest scoring plays, and he got caught on the 2. So he doesn't get to go in the record book for this
There was
run.
a time I thought he was going to score, and then you're like, no, they're going to get him.
Yeah,
he somewhere around there, I'm like, he's in, and then all of a sudden, then we get the lineman running down.
He ran out of the gas a little bit at the end there. So here's the play I'm talking about, right? So
there he is out in the flat.
Right, and we didn't block that correctly or set the protection correctly, but Matt has the ability to improvise as well, and so we'll take that too. Like, it's no, yes. It's one of those deals. This is a touchdown near the end of the game, the last touchdown, I believe, or last offensive touchdown. Mike again on a pin pull, wide run there. Lineman getting downfield, great job. This is RPO, Matt to Zach for a touchdown there. You see the guy we're reading is blitzing, so makes it a pretty easy read.
And he needs to throw that fast too, because otherwise you're going to have lineman downfield problems too.
Well, more so he's going to get hit in the mouth with that linebacker blitzing. This is a touchdown pass to Ali Safa, all right, who it's actually the same play we ran against PV to score. And there's Mike Bendowski. That was the play after the long run.
Got to give him the touchdown after.
Got to give him the touchdown there.
Can't take it away from him.
Yeah. So there were some other big plays, some other nice plays where Matt stepped up into the pocket and made some completions. But those are the basic touchdowns that we had offensively.
All right, Coach, good stuff right there. Commercial break. We got some announcements. Big news coming up here.
Sure, yes.
All right, breaking news coming out here. Make sure you stay tuned to the second segment here as we'll do some announcements and do the defensive highlights from Springford, Methacton.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look. Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm your host, John Brennan, with head coach Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, we're not really in costume here, but it is Spirit Week here. It's homecoming week here at Springford. I tried the costume, did about half a day. I couldn't stay.
What were you?
I was a Jedi. I got it from the trip in the summertime, and I just robe. It was too much. I couldn't do it for the rest. I couldn't do it full day.
That'd be too much for me, too.
But tomorrow's...
I did participate in Twin Day with Mrs. Bowen.
Yeah, well, it's kind of feel like you have to, you guys. Tomorrow's Sports Day or something like that?
Jerseys.
Jersey. I don't wear jerseys.
Yeah, I'm a grown man.
Yeah, right, exactly. They're kids. Like I'll wear like an Eagle shirt or something like that. Maybe Phillies go up 2-0 today too.
Right. That would be good. That's good. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
Phillies.
good. I think
Maybe
I
some
have.
Phillies.
I can
I
pull out a
got Phillies
Philly
here. I'm
shirt.
gonna check that out. All right. So we got Spirit Week here. We got Norristown coming in, homecoming Saturday game. RCTV is going to cover the parade that starts at noon. RCTV is going to cover the game that's at 2 o'clock. They'll show you also the halftime homecoming court extravaganza, whatever you'd want to call that. It's all going to be on RCTV too. So, but you got some breaking news here for.
Well, let's start with this. First of all, our sponsor of the Gridiron, Patriot Chevrolet, is sponsoring a contest on Saturday. Every person that comes to the game, 18 or older, and not a current or they can't be a current or former employee of Spring Ford.
What if they're a student and they're 18 years old of Spring Ford?
Potentially participate.
Okay, just once again, it's just for employees.
Yes.
So I can't win.
No.
Okay, even though I'm over 18 years old.
Correct.
Okay, keep going.
So we got these huge oversized dice.
Uh-huh.
And Patriot Chevrolet is the Chevy King, right? That's the website, ChevyKing.com. So these 4, is it die? Is that the plural?
4 dice?
It doesn't sound
whatever,
right.
Yeah, whatever. Well, we're not English teachers. Well, you were an English teacher. So
but it's been a while.
Okay.
So they have KING on one side of each of the 4. And someone can roll. They get 3 attempts to roll king. If they roll king, they get $35,000 cash money.
Jiminy crickets, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, can I win, like, are there multiple, like, let's say 4 people do it throughout the day. Are they going to pay out $35,000 4 times?
Sure. I mean,
Wow.
I don't know that the odds are in their favor.
Well, we'll go to the statistics people for that one there to figure out what the odds of that one
So
are.
just to make sure everybody understands, if I roll the first one and it comes up a 2, that's 1 attempt.
Yeah.
Then I roll the second one, I get a K, I get an I, and then I roll a 3, that's out.
Yeah.
Second attempt.
Start all over.
Yeah. If I go KING, boom, I win.
Yeah, and you're going to get a ticket when you walk through.
Like a raffle ticket.
And then
and
announcer is going to announce at the end of first quarter that this person should go. So you're going to have a lot of raffles. I'm sure Booster Club's going to do 50-50 too, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to pay
You win big money at home.
You got to listen to me on Saturdays,
right.
what everybody needs to do if you want a chance to get in this raffle.
So I think we're going to do 1 after the first quarter, 2 at halftime, 1 in the third, 1 between the third and the fourth.
So at halftime, we have to do 2 of these.
I know you have some anxiety.
We got to do this
about
Hall of Fame thing, and we have to do the homecoming
We didn't
court.
make that announcement yet.
I mean, this is a lot here. This is a lot of stuff for me.
We didn't make that announcement.
I need to go back to the contract table, and I feel like there needs to be some adjustments is what I'm trying to say in this endeavor here.
You get paid plenty.
And maybe Patriot Chevrolet throws a little something my way, too. You know what I mean? Maybe just
free oil and lube.
Yeah, heck yeah, I'd use that right now. Or just like let me drive around one of those nice cars for like a day or something like that.
Well, here's the deal. So, in addition, you kind of already spilled this, but homecoming at halftime, we are going to induct the 2022 Springford Football Wall of Fame class.
Mm-hmm.
And so those people, we've notified them, whatever, their family's going to be here. Put that graphic up, please. I'm waiting for the So here is the class of 2022. Herb Landis, Eddie Augustin, Steve Kodish, Eric Engstrom, and Marty Moore are being inducted, and that induction ceremony will take place.
The Duke's coming back.
That's right.
The Duke will be, So when I was in school, Mr. Moore was the head football coach. But you said Eddie's older than me, and Steve and Eric were like sophomores and freshmen.
You weren't in high school for 10 years?
No. I mean, I maybe thought about doing a couple extra years. So congratulations to the class of 2022 in the Wall of Fame there.
Yeah, obviously it's a great honor. And so in addition to that, we always have a pregame meal. So the inductees will be invited to our pregame brunch on homecoming. And that's our mother's brunch where we invite all the players' mothers.
You invited me to that last year. It was a really, really nice invite.
Yeah.
It was a very nice get-together ceremony, whatever you want to call it. It's very
and we have that what you're referencing is the I Love You ceremony where senior players get to stand up and, tell everyone, what their mom means to them and vice versa. And it can get emotional, but it's very, very good. And, I get nervous about it just talking about it because of how emotional it is.
Yeah.
You know, if you had to stand in front of 100 of your teammates and talk about, you know, what your mom has done for you, you'd probably get emotional too.
Sure.
So, but it's a good ceremony. The Wall of Famers will be part of that as well. Get to see that, and then see their plaques up in Alumni Hall, down by the locker room, and it should be a great day.
All right. Well, breaking news. Hopefully everybody paid attention. If you have any questions, email Coach Brubaker because I'm not answering them for you. All right. So let's talk defense here a little bit. Another really good job. They don't really give up. They don't give up 0 points. The kickoff return was their only points of the day. Now, I thought Methacton did a good job. Like, they were attacking, you know, inside, and they'd make us take away the inside. Then they would go outside. But it was the idea of our defense really making some in-game adjustments and trying to figure out what they're going to do and stopping what they were trying to do out there, too.
Yeah, I mean, they moved the ball a little bit in the first half. Obviously, after the fumble, they moved down inside the goal line area. Yeah. But we got the turnover. Our defense did do a good job. You know, on film, you know, they tried to run outside quite a bit. And so I think maybe it took us, you know, a little off guard where they were having some success running inside. And we changed our front as well during the game, you know, even on first down, put 5 guys down and things like that to combat that. And I think, you know, when the game starts to, you know, get lopsided, it's harder to keep that game plan, you know, of just running the ball inside. So they did an excellent job. They had an interception. They had a fumble return for a touchdown as well.
Scoop and score.
A couple other fumbles that they forced. Yeah, really disappointed in the kickoff return for a touchdown because we had some guys that, and they heard about it in film yesterday, you know, that their efforts were not what they needed to be and what the expectation is.
Now, once again, outside guy, it almost looked like it was just like, oh, we'll kick it off and it'll be the end of the half. It was almost like the half was over, maybe from not saying kids, the whole, from you to all the way down. It was like, let's just get out of here. Not me. But I'm just saying, there was an idea of like.
You're not wrong. Like, you're not wrong on that. There were guys on that team that were not, their efforts did not meet expectations. Yeah. So we talked about that a little bit yesterday in film.
All right. Well, I'm going to scoop and scores in the highlights. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's check out the defense highlights from Springford and Methacton.
All right. So here's the interception by Bilal Abdulrahman that set up the first touchdown. I believe it set up the first touchdown.
And you kind of drop Zollers in the coverage here, and you know.
Yeah, we were in our nickel, and Zach plays linebacker in the nickel situation.
Did he fumble there at the end?
I don't know.
They were going for the ball. I can't believe he didn't fumble this play. The quarterback.
Yeah, I thought the ball was coming out too, but nice job there. It's a group sack there. Franny, Undercuffler, and Luke Pajevich is always around. Now watch Zach Zollers punch that ball, and then Will Fish comes out with it. He almost could have had a 95-yard run himself. Watch Zach come here from the right, punch that ball out, and it pops right into Will Fish's hand for the turnover. Again, they moved the ball down inside the 30 here, but our guys did a good job, got a sack there. Zach Zollers again, and again, of course, Luke Pajevich is always around when something like that goes on. So here's Matt Yurko coming off the edge there, forces a fumble, and Luke Hall picks it up. At that point, we had mixed in some of our guys. Watch Travell Wellens, by the way. Do you see Travell Wellens? He almost caught him. Watch that from the other view if you can see Travell. But we had 2 guys come in. Luke Hall was in there, and then Luke Hall picked it up. Watch Travell tracking him on the right side of the screen. But just a great job, and really happy for Luke. He's done a great job for us as a backup linebacker and special teams guy. And, you know, got
he's one of those guys that could.
By the way,
he could also be like a guy, like moving forward, like after this year, like Luke is going to be a guy you're going to count on.
Sure.
For this defense a little.
Sure. And, you know, Luke's got to put some weight on in the off season and get stronger, and he's a hard worker. He'll do that. But actually, now that you say it, that's going to be on the longest plays in Springford history.
Fumble recovery.
Yeah. Because we do from 70 yards or more. That was
the
like
longest, like
one of the longest on the list.
The longest.
No, on the list.
You just made the list.
You made the list.
You made the list, Francis. All right, that's a movie reference for people out there. Stripes.
I don't.
Okay, it's fine. Nobody knows my references.
Yeah.
Fine. Don't worry about it. All right, we're going to take one more commercial break here, and we'll preview the game with Norristown.
If you love them enough to relearn math so you can teach them math, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
There are 16 million children struggling with hunger in America. That's 1 in 5 daughters, sons, neighbors, and classmates who don't know where their next meal is coming from. Yet billions of pounds of good food go to waste every year. It's time we do something about it. Feeding America is a nationwide network of food banks that helps provide meals to millions of kids and families in need. Visit feedingamerica.org to help them feed even more. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're feeding America.
Welcome back to the Gridiron, sponsored by Patriot Chevrolet. I'm the host, John Brett, with the head coach, Chad Brubaker. All right, Coach, like we said, it's Spirit Week here. Your favorite Saturday games this year. One of your favorite things to do.
This week was great, though, because we got an extra day off. It's next week that's not as fun.
When you play Saturday and you got to get ready for Friday night.
We got films on Sunday, and then, we're right into it again. So the week leading into the Saturday game, not so bad. The week after the Saturday game, not great.
Your favorite. I just remember way back in our olden days.
Well, we had more.
When there was more Saturday games, and you were a grumpy gator about Saturday football. It's not your...
Yeah, because in the league, there were some teams that didn't have lights.
Correct, yeah. Not to name any names or anything like that,
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not... You don't love...
Well, it's tough. It's tough because you get out of your routine,
Yeah, sure.
Coach Mick and myself and probably you are very routine-oriented.
Yes, I love my routine, yes.
So, I mean, I'm less routine-oriented than Coach Mick. Like, Coach Mick has the same breakfast, gets up at the exact same time.
Yeah. He has his day planned out to the T.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're going to finish up our Liberty division with Norristown Eagles coming in here on Saturday afternoon.
2 o'clock.
Norristown's had not the season I'm sure they were hoping for this year, but once again, huge opportunity for them coming here on Saturday.
It's interesting, in watching, because they played some teams that, like, for instance, they played Upper Marion, and that was one of the teams that we might cross over with at the end. So I definitely watched that game. And Norristown is, up and down, inconsistent. And all high school football teams are.
Yeah.
But they do some really nice things when they execute. They do some really nice things. I like their quarterback. I think he has a lot of potential. He's only a sophomore. And so there's big upside there for them. And they do some nice things. They definitely can make plays. Last week they played against PV and kept it tight for, a good portion of the game.
Right.
So, and they made some plays. They just couldn't put plays together at times. So.
And I think we've had some success recently against Norristown, and it's getting on them early, like being ready early in the game. I'm sure that's going to be a discussion you guys. I mean, it's always a thing.
Right.
Right. But
yes.
If we can come out, firing all cylinders, that sort of thing, we can,
sure,
move the ball, get a stops, all those sort of things.
Well, listen, it's like anything. If then you can run the ball, and you don't have to be as bouncy. You can run the clock, but. Anytime you can get up early, obviously, is an advantage.
All right, let's take a look at Norristown on offense.
So this last week against PV, they threw the ball downfield a couple times.
Wow, yeah, really good spot.
Yeah. Really
and that
good
kid was
throw.
open, too.
Yeah, really good throw. Right there, that's just a 3-step. And
they're giving it to him, he'll take it.
Yeah. They do some nice things. They do go in motion a lot. They run bubble screen very well. This wasn't a great ball, but the kid made a good adjustment to it.
Made a nice play on it.
But it counts in the score in the box score, right?
Over the linebackers,
Yeah. Not a perfect throw, but again, only where his guy could get it. And right there kind of did a nice job of keeping his composure and getting it out to the receiver, and then that receiver just stepped out of bounds or he could have even made a bigger play.
All right, so it looks like their highlights, they like to throw the ball.
They throw the ball. I mean, they do both, obviously, but, they have bigger play potential, I feel like, in the passing game.
Okay. What are you going to see from defensively?
I don't know. We'll
You can
see.
see everything.
Yeah, I
A
mean.
little bit of this, a little bit of that.
So last year they played a 3-3 against us. Friday night they played mostly 4-3 against PV, but they've shown 3-3 earlier in the year. So, I'm not sure what to expect, but, we've at this point in the year, we've pretty much seen it all. And so, we should be prepared and be able to adjust to whatever they decide to do.
All right, let's look at Norristown on defense.
All right, so,
Takes away the quarterback, gets the pitch.
Nice play in the backfield there. PV drove down the field a little bit on them, and then they tried to run outside zone.
Nothing.
And made him cut back. That player is a pretty good player right there, 62 or 67.
Ooh.
Knocked down a little hitch, and then also got a couple picks on Friday night too as well. So they got one there, and I think this last play is also an interception. They got pressure, and then they
just throws
undercut. Well, he undercut the receiver. The pressure caused that. So they got a couple interceptions, and they kept the game pretty close for the whole time. And honestly, people weren't expecting that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, you can't take anybody lightly. So.
Sure. We didn't talk about any announcements. You guys moved up, 10th in districts now or something like that?
Yeah, 10th in districts. I think, Coach Nestle is a
He's got his, I saw his spreadsheet.
Teacher.
I saw his spreadsheet.
Yeah,
I
his
did see
spreadsheet.
Yes.
Yeah, he's still a little old school with that. I tend to like to use Excel. He tends to like to use
piece of paper.
Piece of paper.
Yeah.
But
and this is the spreadsheet. It's not like this is the spreadsheet.
Yeah. So he has that worked out. If we're able to beat Norristown, we're able to win the crossover. We have the highest probably we can get is 8th, which is at least a home game. The teams above us, like for instance, Central Bucks West plays Central Bucks South and Central Bucks East. It's funny how that league puts like the rivalry games at the end, isn't it? Isn't that interesting?
No comment. Yeah, keep going.
But Central Bucks West plays Central Bucks East, and Central Bucks South this week, and Central Bucks East in the last week. And those are all plus 500 teams. So Central Bucks West could, if they lose
move
one,
ahead, they could, or they can move up too.
They can move up, but if they lose either of them, they move below us. Downingtown East plays Coatesville, and then they're above us, and they also played Downingtown West the last week. Again, the Chestmont also puts rivalry games there at the end. But, depending on how that works out. Now,
maybe we should tag the pack when we show this, put this on the YouTube
maybe.
or whatever, tag the pack.
But long story short, if Downingtown East loses one or both of those games, they're probably below us. Downingtown West not playing Coatesville, they're above us, haven't played Coatesville, they have to play Downingtown East at last game. That game actually does hurt from that standpoint, them not playing that game, because if Coatesville had beat Downingtown West, they'd already be below us.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that game was not subject to a forfeiture.
Those questions are above your pay grade.
They are, but I'd really like the answers to that. If the home team doesn't host it, I don't know where that's at.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you get the bottom. Go on a mystery like on
yeah. But they only need 9 games. Like it's the average of all of your games, but at least 9.
9, yeah.
So yeah.
I did notice though, once again not losing, but you're the highest ranked 5-3 team. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not right. That talks to your non-league
which speaks
schedule.
to our schedule. Yeah,
yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just go win and take care of business. All you can worry about.
Yeah.
And like you said, get in the field, got a chance.
That's it. That's it. And it's been a while since we won a playoff game, so I think our kids are excited about that. I do think there's a lot of parity in District 1. So we'll see. If you get into the dance, you never know who might dance with you.
That's right. Sounds good. All right, Coach.
Is that an analogy?
No, it's great. It's good stuff. People, once again, how many people really watching all the way to the end here too? You know what I mean? Like, but I thought we caught people's attention this week. You know what I mean?
Maybe we
Like,
need to put.
I would love to see a study on like when do people turn off after the first commercial, second commercial. Like, we'll get some studies done on that one.
We'll get some Google Analytics.
Yeah, I want some data out there driven on this whole thing. But best of luck to you and the crew on Saturday.
Thank you.
Make sure you tune in next week as we recap the game with Norristown and preview the Pack crossover. For the head coach, Chad Brubaker, I'm John Brennan. See you next time on the Gridiron.